Welcome back to another episode of the Corporate Cowboys podcast. My name is Alex, and as you know, I'm your host. For the next 30 minutes, you've got me to treat as a free consult of sorts for professional development, mind you. If you're not familiar with the form of the podcast, we take questions from online in a very generalized manner and we try to walk through them, show you how you might be able to ask these questions of your own situation and potentially derive some sort of strategy, distill it into some sort of plan, and then act on it as you make your way through corporate. What would a corporate cowboy do? Little proof of life. Today is Friday. Nice. June 16, 2023. And if you don't know where to find us, we're in a lot of places online. We've just reactivated a Twitter that was floating around. So that's at corporate and then Cowboys with a Z at the end. That's corporate. Cowboys is spelt a little funny. But we're on Instagram too. It's Corporate Cowboys with a Z. We're on Patreon, just about anywhere podcasts are distributed. You want to donate to us, do that. There's some links available. You want to write to us, we love hearing from you, especially when it's in person, especially when you're not leaving a digital footprint. And you can send us items of particular or peculiar value that way. That's P.O. Box 3372, Rancho Cordova, California, 95741. All right, today's question. Today's question is coming from r/career guidance. This one's not flared for advice. I think the question is just broad enough where I might be able to fill it with a little bit of time. Maybe we can make 30 minutes of material from this. Regardless, I'm getting my reps in. So if you don't like the ambient noise that's taking place, do something about it. I don't know, get your own reps in. So they're asking here the hypothetical client, and they are hypothetical, mind you. If I have to give a legal disclaimer every single episode, I will. And that is that anything you hear come across our platforms, you, the listener, should not take to be legal advice. Do not rely on it. It's very general in its applicability. Okay? So unless you're reaching out to us directly and retaining us personally to represent you in court, in negotiations, what have you, don't take what we say and apply it automatically. It's very generalized. Take it all with a grain of salt. The smart ones will be able to take notes on what works and what doesn't. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up. We ain't doing shit for you. We're definitely not setting you up. Not yet, at least. We could help you set somebody up. But that's another topic of discussion. Today's topic is job hopping a red flag? Is job hopping a red flag, fam? And what is too much? How much is too much job hopping? What are you, getting a new job every 2 months? What are you, getting a job every month? You're just barely breaking the probationary period and leaving as soon as it's over? You know, those are questions you want to ask yourself. And why? Why are you leaving? For what reason? Maybe you've exhausted the knowledge, the practical experience that you could accumulate, that you could collect and carry with you while you were on that job. Maybe you've exhausted all opportunities to get promoted, to ascend, to move up, to advance in your own professional development. It's possible. The reasons can be numerous, or the reason can just be because you want to do what you feel like doing, right? Now, granted, It's all circumstantial, and it absolutely depends on your individual case. Hence the legal disclaimer. So, best I can do for you is give you generalized advice on what I've seen, on what I've documented, how I've consulted in the past, and what my colleagues and associates have discussed with me also. Let's just read through the body of this, and we'll tear it down from top to bottom if necessary. It's pretty short, so I may or may not be interjecting as we go along, but again, this is more so a template on how I consult. And when you're consulting, yeah, you're taking on a client, you're getting down their biographical information, but at the same time, you're asking questions, you're asking probing questions and then following up. You want as detailed, as nuanced information as possible, given their unique case. Everybody's unique. Everybody's got different aspirations. Not everybody's aspirations are the same. Maybe they don't want to get promoted. Maybe they don't want the spotlight. Maybe they want to work in the background, but still collect a respectable check. Maybe they don't even want to be cutting checks. Maybe they want to be collecting them. All right. The body begins with, I've been interviewing candidates. Ooh, okay. So they're in a hiring capacity. They're in a supervisory, managerial capacity, executive even, and they are the ones making the decisions to hire. To fire, who knows, but to hire, yes, they are. They're saying, I've been interviewing candidates for a while now for a position with 5+ years of experience. I don't know if it's the way that's written or what, but this could be that they're hiring for a position that requires 5+ years, or they've been in this position to be interviewing and hiring candidates going on 5+ years. Well, that wasn't a period, Alex. It was a comma. It says US based and pays around $150,000, including bonus. Okay. So they're hiring for this position, and this position requires 5 years minimum. The pay, not bad. And it's US based, right? They continue, about 1/3 of the resumes I get, about 1/3 of the resumes that they get, they have job histories like this. And there's a colon there. This candidate has been out of college for less than 6 years, right? So the resumes they see come across their desk are for younger candidates who have been out of college for less than 6 years. That means that they have potentially about 6 years in total in the workforce since they've been out of college, depending on whether or not they've worked through college, depending on how old they are currently, what age they went to college. But by and large, the statistical majority of people in college are going to be of a younger demographic. So when they leave college, their first quote unquote real job on the payroll with a wage or a rate, an hourly rate or a biweekly rate or a salary, it's going to be when they leave college. That'll be their first real, quote unquote, real adult job, right? They're adulting. That said, 1/3 of the resumes that they receive there have job histories like this. The candidate has been out of college for less than 6 years. And these are all professional roles in the industry. So they've been out of college for 6 years and they have professional roles in the industry. And then another colon. You see, maybe this is because it's miswritten, right? They could have just included the time out of college as another bullet point. But the list of bullets begins here. They write job Number 6, which is apparently their most current, their most recent, they go in order. They go job 6, job 5, job 4, job 3, job 2, job 1. So job 6 is what, 3 months? Job 5 is 19 months. And then there's a 3-month employment gap. Okay. That's questionable. A job 4 is 9 months. So far you have 2 out of 3 jobs where they've been there less than 1 year. Job 3 is 15 months. Okay, you're there longer than a year. Job 2, 4 months, less than a year. And job 1, 19 months. What can we conclude? What inferences can we make? I think at this point, it behooves us, it might be in our best interest to interview the candidate themselves. What are they doing to promote their resume? What are they doing to sell it? In order to highlight their abilities, their skills, any relevant experience, and downplay those periods in their career, right? Because we're looking at someone's career. When they hand you a resume, you're looking at their career in hand. Granted, they can frame their career any way they want. When you interview them is when their skills to respond to answers and your skills to come up with questions and follow up to respond to answers. I just caught myself. To respond to interview questions and your ability to come up with interview questions and follow up interview questions, to dig down as to why their career has been shaped, is shaped the way it is. How their career has developed into what it's become. Why or how or what do they expect working with you? I mean, mind you, I'm in the business of business. I'm in the business of helping professionals learn how to work with one another. And yes, I do mean professionals who are doing the hiring and professionals looking to get hired. You want to learn how to work with corporate so that you're not diminishing yourself, you're not denigrating yourself, you're not disrespecting yourself. At the same time, you are respecting. You're respectful and you're respectable. You're able to be respected. But that comes with being a competent professional. That comes with the unending pursuit of attaining that state of consummate professionalism. And that's from both sides of the table. The person doing the interviewing and the hiring, and the one being interviewed and getting hired. So, if you are able to justify those periods in your career where you were in a position for less than a year, maybe it was a temporary or a contract or just one particular project that you were brought on board for, and after that project ended, your duties and obligations kind of became generalized. They weren't as specialized as when you first came in, meaning that the work dropped off, or just that particular project was finished, was completed, and you terminated employment on good terms, right? Now, if your referrals don't speak highly of you, I mean, then that throws a wrench in things, right? If you're just an unstable person, unable to keep a job, that's a whole nother subject of discussion. But by and large, I mean, mental illness isn't an overwhelmingly and an overly predominant thing in society. And by society, I do mean the world, right? Because we live in a world of nations as a society, right? If you can't shake hands and make money together, that's when motherfuckers tend to pull out arms. But if you're not working together, you're essentially working against your own best interest. Fuck your self-interest. You're working against your own best interest. And like an OG once told me, the secret to success is proper discrimination. But it's not going to be on just arbitrary, prejudicial basis, right? You've got to be competent and capable enough to stand your own ground, to defend yourself. So yeah, while professional development has a lot to do with your knowledge, your experience, your intellect, it also has to do with you and who you are personally. Right? That 3-month gap in employment between two jobs, it's not something serious. That's not something that an employer would dig deep into that. If the job you had before or the positions you've held before have allowed you to save money, you've got a cushion. And in that time, you went off, even if you were on vacation, even if you were traveling the world, or even if you were taking some course online to better yourself, to improve your professional competency, some self-improvement. That's all you've got to answer. That's how you've got to answer during the interview, is be able to justify the time spent with each employer and why you moved on. Granted, when you do move on, you want to be moving on to something better, right? Because that also becomes a pattern. If you were working there's not really a good job or a bad job. There's just bad managers and bad teams. Bad managers kind of cultivate bad teams. But I guess if we're going to quantify it, if you move from a job that's paying you, what's the median now? The average is like $50,000, $60,000, $60,000. I'm being generous. I'm being way generous. But you move from a $60,000 a year job and you've been there for 12 months, right? Let's put you at a year. You've been there 12 months and you leave at the year mark to something that pays $45,000 a year. You leave that job and then you have a 3-month gap in employment. A 3-month gap in employment, there's going to be some questions. There's going to be some questions. If you went from something that was decent on paper and you moved to something that was less decent on paper. See, I'm not saying it's outright bad. 45 is a little tough to get by on, but it could be done. In some parts of the world, it can be done. I know a lot of our Western counterparts treat 45 as living in poverty, but not yet, at least. It can be done. You've just got to do a lot more legwork, a lot more running around and networking. But if you aren't motivated by hunger, if you're not motivated by poverty, you will stay there. You'll just drop out, collect government bread, and still believe you deserve more. Oh man. All right. So the body on this continues. So yeah, job 6, 3 months, job 5, 19 months. It's been a 3-month employment gap. Job 4, 9 months. Job 3, 15 months. Job 2, 4 months. And then job 1, 19 months. So their tenure at different jobs has been sporadic. Ideally, we would love to know what those positions consisted of, what their duties and obligations, what kind of tasks they undertook while they were in those positions, right? We could better learn what the hypothetical client, how the hypothetical client has developed professionally in order that they might be able to justify their time at these positions of employment. Yeah, you would think that they shouldn't be asking about my personal life. Why does it matter? Well, this is different from a right to privacy or an invasion to your right to privacy to you wanting to get out there and put in work, right? This is different from, well, if you haven't done anything bad, you have nothing. No, this isn't that. This is you wanting to go out there and associate with others professionally and make money together. Of course, your reputation counts. Of course, your competency, your capabilities, your morals, your values, your honor, that all matters. And a good interviewer is capable of coaxing that out by asking questions. Now, you want to know what questions they might be asking? That's more of a personal consultation. That's higher level strategizing on how to interview, going into an interview with this resume. And this resume is not bad. I've seen worse. There was periods in my own life where my shit looked way worse. On top of that, you want to slap a record where I'm having to check boxes. Way worse. But that's neither here nor there. The body on this continues and says, my boss absolutely will not interview someone like the above. Absolutely will not? Well, damn. They might be missing out. Sure, you might have better candidates on paper, but what about a candidate in person? Right? Is your company able to retain talent? That might be your boss projecting that this person is a bad employee or is unprofessional because they do it moving. Maybe they're thinking like a corporate cowboy. They're running and gunning. And at the 1 year mark, if there isn't a system for professional development, if there isn't a system to review performance that is effective, that is organized, that enables them to be a better professional, shit, I might do it moving too. But that is an answer I would have to give in my interview if your boss were to interview me. But if they absolutely will not, then I've got nothing to lose. I'm spitting applications out where they fit in. If your boss is behind on the times, what, they haven't heard of job hopping before? They haven't heard of promotion by job hopping before? There's individuals who only get raises or only get promotions when they leave one position and go to another. They might say, oh no, it reflects poorly on their loyalty. Where's the duty of loyalty? Duty of loyalty comes from motherfucking fiduciaries, the motherfuckers at the top, the board of directors, some executives, managers, partners, majority shareholders, motherfuckers who've got influence by right. Like it's just bestowed on them by the simple fact that they have a title. But an employee is a hired gun. They're a payroll mercenary. And if you ain't paying them right, and if they're handling steel for you, eating what they kill, earning their keep, and you aren't keeping up, I mean, what's that say about you? What's that say about your ability to retain armed professionals? Professionals able of letting you go as a manager. That's an overarching theme to this entire podcast. And I repeat it just about once an episode or every other episode, but I harp on it. And that is that everyone is entry level forever. Doesn't matter how much influence you have. We've seen it in the news. Individuals of distinguished personalities, popularity, borderline celebrity, almost universally known. And they get politically assassinated. Shit's easy. You're in one day and you're out the next. Sometimes it has to do with how you move. Sometimes it has to do with who you move with. I mean, if we're talking street, sometimes it has to do with what you move. Let me finish this off. They say, my boss absolutely will not interview someone like the one above. And I tend to agree. Well, you may be overlooking some talent, right? Especially if, I mean, I might understand if we're working on the market for, what's the term I'm looking for? The market of efficiencies? Is it the market of efficiencies? Where if you have 400 applications or 400 resumes that you have to look over, yeah, you might start by sorting out the ones that look the best on paper before you begin interviewing. There's rounds to this. There's layers to this cake. And so you're filtering out applicants, looking for the strongest candidates first on paper. So that's first impressions when you read their resume and consider them for an interview. The second or third round might then be, I don't know, what are folks doing that's most comfortable for them, because it depends from organization to organization, whether or not there's an older vanguard who's very much pro status quo of an older regime, older policies and practices. Maybe they want to meet you in person. Maybe they want to see how you shake a hand, how you smile, how you talk, how you stand, how you hustle in person. They want to see what kind of professional you are personally or virtually, right? We have a lot of computer savvy, technologically savvy employers nowadays who can operate remotely, and so they can take your interview remotely. They can interview you in one state and you'll be working in another. And you might be doing that remotely. But all of that you must take into account when you're applying, when you're interviewing. You have to do your homework up front. You have to do your due diligence, commit to the legwork that goes into being a consummate professional. Otherwise, you might see your way out of a company, of an organization. You might phase yourself out because you chose not to keep up. And it's happened. Companies who were founded by a brilliant individual, named the company after themselves, end up getting voted out for one reason or another because they couldn't hold on to the reins, because they couldn't hold an audience because they weren't competent or capable leaders. And so their people didn't want to follow them. That all matters. Let me finish this off. They say, my boss won't interview these people, and I tend to agree. I would understand 1 to 2 jobs under 2 years at this level of experience. At this level of experience. But why do so many candidates job hop like this? Would you interview this person if their resume otherwise fit the need? If the resume otherwise fit the need, yeah, interview them. If the resume fits, again, it depends on the number of resumes you initially start with. But if the resume fits, then you interview them. You find out who they are. See what justifications they have. And if they're competent, I notice that I've used that word a lot this episode. But if they are professional, they've practiced, or they might not even need to practice, how they will answer when you ask about, hey, Alex, why were you in your last job, job 6, for 3 months only? You didn't even cut a quarter. You didn't even make it through a quarter. What happened there? Explain to us. And it could be that, well, I was on there for a temporary contract. We're getting a project lined up, and I came in as in a support role or in a lead role, whatever the position was. The deliverable was due in 5 months' time, and the project has ended. Now, I don't know if it's 6 months running currently, like maybe I don't know if it's 3 months running currently, or if the candidate left their job and didn't have anything else lined up, so they're currently unemployed. That's also going to open up a can of worms. They're going to want to know about that and why. Here's one. There's a time in my life, late teens, early 20s, when I was working multiple jobs. And when I moved on to apply to other jobs that I thought were a step up, I would only list the jobs that I thought were relevant. And I was capable of covering all my time with some form of employment. So it's not like I was at one job and then I quit, went to another to work there. And if that job turned out to be a piece of shit manager and an even worse team, then I don't feel like listing them, so I'm going to appear as if unemployed for this period of time. Nah, fuck all that. Alex was doing it moving. Alex was getting busy. You think I'm busy now? Alex was putting in dumb work as a young gun. I mean, now I got folks for that, right? Now when I get hired, it's for something specific. Projects, clients, strategies. That's the beauty of it. But that comes with the ability of taking what you've done in the past and packaging it or repackaging it, reframing it, and being able to distill those skills, those abilities, and transferring them, transposing them onto what it is you want to do next. And you do that by letting them know when you interview and telling them directly what it is you've done, what it is you do if you're currently employed, and what it is you want to do, and how your goals might align so that you can work together, so that you can work with them. think that's about 30 minutes. How long has this been? 35? Yeah, let me cut it there. My time is money too. Take care of yourselves. Have a nice weekend.